Intimacy is the basis of any relationship. Whether it's emotional, physical, mental, experiential, or spiritual intimacy, intimacy is the ingredient to connection. It's what allows a relationship to have the substance. It is the medium of exchange of energies, and it's the cross point of where minds, hearts, and souls intersect. In order for there to be intimacy in a relationship, we must have the ability to look within and to understand who we are, because ultimately it comes down to our willingness to express our truth and to open ourselves up to another that intimacy can occur. So the best way to look at intimacy is through the catchword, into me see. That's how we can break down intimacy into a dialogue that we have with and within ourselves in order to understand who are we in an intimate interaction with another. Because ultimately, we have no way to reach somebody else without first understanding who we are and what we're trying to achieve from an intimate encounter. Intimacy must exist within any working, professional, or familial bond. It is the place where we open ourselves up and become the authentic representation of our own truth, which means that to be intimate with ourselves is to learn how to engage healthily in an intimate relationship with another. Are you afraid of your own shadow? It turns out a lot of people are, except they don't even realize it, because such is the nature of the shadow, and the game that it plays to carefully deflect its personality through the overbearing dominance of the ego. The way that our psyche is formed is we have these two very separate compartments of our expression of self. There's the ego, or the persona that we boldly show to the rest of the world and to ourselves, and then there's the subconscious mind, the personal unconscious, which includes the shadow self, which also includes within it everything that you have repressed from yourself, including your memories, repressed emotions, suppressed feelings, desires, shame, guilt, fear, unintegrated trauma, and all kinds of difficult experiences that you no longer want to be experiencing in your conscious mind. Because even though we might not be conscious of its presence, its effects are very real and can end up ruling the vast majority of our experience. The nature of the shadow self is such that it always crawls into the experiences of our lives, but usually in ways that we are not even aware of. It comes out through different subconscious projections, through triggers, through the manifestation of unwanted cycles, patterns, and experiences, through different desires. It can be seen through the different patterns you manifest in relationships, even your health. It comes through in every aspect of your human experience. What is destiny then? It seems that we have a delayed reaction time when it comes to understanding what our subconscious is actually speaking to us. If we are highly honed into our intuition, we can feel certain things that are bound to happen because we know what is programmed deep within us that is making them happen. We're able to know with certainty if we fear something, if we are suppressing something, if we are lying to ourselves, then there will be an equal and reciprocal effect in the world around us, because that is exactly what the subconscious mind is responsible for. It is projecting our deepest and truest nature in the world around us so that we can experience that reflection of us in our reality. That is the only way we can become conscious of what we are unconscious of when it is revealed to us through our earthly experiences. When we deny ourselves the ability to become attuned to our subconscious mind, which includes all of the deep feelings that come through as intuitive signals, as desires, as urges, as deep gut feelings, and things we just know but don't have a way to actively understand from the conscious standpoint, we need to understand that those things are coming through for a reason. If there's any struggle in your life, any problem, any challenge, any difficulty at all that makes you feel like you're sitting on one of two chairs, as in you could be one person if you make one decision, and you can be another version of yourself if you make the other. Think about what chair you would choose to sit on if you choose to surrender. Where is it easier to feel like yourself when you're making that decision? Where do you feel more fully embodied in your own truth and in coherence with your inner feelings when you make that decision? If you're having to fake your identity to sit on one of the two chairs, you're choosing not to surrender to truth, and you're choosing to surrender to this mundane way of life. You're choosing to stay complacent and to live in a stuck version of yourself because you're just afraid of what it's going to take to live in alignment with truth. Ultimately, sometimes we need to take a step back to really evaluate the situation for what it is. Because when you're going about life and having to make decisions and choices that are either in alignment with yourself or not, you might forget that this actually is a choice. One of the biggest quantum jumps that you can gift yourself is the realization that nothing is ever happening against you but you. You are the creator of this prison in your mind, and you are the person who is able to bust out of it when you realize that nothing is actually keeping you stuck but you. If you feel that there's any part of you that you have no ability to understand, that is creating your reality, making you feel that you have no free will, your ego has effectively played you into submissiveness. It's caused you to believe that you don't have the will to even change your habits or your ways, because it's allowed you to experience only a fragmented aspect of your true self, and your potentiality for that matter. What you need to understand is that your ego is doing all of this as a way of keeping you safe from yourself. It thinks it's doing you a favor by keeping track of everything that has ever created pain in your past, and allowing you to see that there is an easier, faster way to access pleasure. And so when it's guiding you to circumvent pain, what's actually happening is it's blocking off your ability to understand why that pain was experienced. If you were ignoring pain and turning to pleasure, the ego is already playing you to stay in this continual loop of seeking external satisfaction, which can become a very dangerous fixation on the externality or on your physical senses in order to find the missing points in your inner experience. What's going to be realized eventually is that there is no way to really circumvent or to heal the internal causes of pain with anything sought outside of the self. The ego's way of creating escapism, distraction, and turning to hedonism or any kind of egoic whims that bring you closer to feeling a sense of wholeness without actually experiencing it from within can only allow you to get so far when it comes to realizing yourself. If I told you your job is for the rest of your life to find a way to both allow negative experiences to happen outside of you and to find a way to maintain emotional neutrality within yourself, would you be able to do it? Would you be able to allow negatives to exist and coexist with you and even transcend through your inner world and out in order for you to come to terms with the state of reality? Because if the point of a feeling is to evoke deeper emotional understanding of our relationship with the world, then the only way to understand negatives is to actually see the purpose in the complexity of this earthly experience. The reason why we deal with negatives is to understand what can be transformed to make this world a better place, what needs to be understood about the shadow of the collective consciousness, which might be collective ignorance, collective egotism, collective narcissism, the inability for us to truly love ourselves and others, which might be stemming from a condition that is still existent within you and I. The reason why we need to come to terms with negativity is to understand what can we do as individuals to uplift ourselves, and through raising our frequency, we can slowly start to permeate this same inclusive response throughout the collective. If you're not seeing yourself as in charge of your consciousness, somebody else has chosen to take charge of it for you. You are responsible for claiming ownership over your thoughts, intentions, energy, motives, decisions, and destiny. And if you're not seeing that you actually are in full ownership of this on the essential level as a soul, then you're going to have your field hijacked. And this is one of the most important lessons for all of us to understand. If you were to right now come into full alignment with the nature of the game as a reflection of opportunities that are subconsciously unfolding to allow you to learn deeper integration and awareness about yourself and reality simultaneously, then you would no longer feel at odds with anyone or anything unfolding in your life or in the universe at large. You would realize instantaneously that all of these events that are happening, even the seemingly disadvantageous ones, are serving an invaluable purpose. You would feel immense gratitude and feel this significant pressure lifted from your shoulders, from your body, from your mental field, because you would see that what you're currently entertaining as even a possibility is something that has the opportunity to bring you much more strength, wisdom, and clarity about your purpose here. What this comes down to is how open you are to using any circumstances that may feel negative in nature that your heart is currently holding on to, and use them to become your most powerful, confident, and loving self. From a universal standpoint, this isn't even a question or an option. This is an inevitable aspect of human evolution. And if you choose to resist these challenges, The soul will keep pushing you into more difficult obstacles until you finally choose to surrender and to embrace the wisdom of love. What this might feel like is you continuously incur painful circumstances that challenge your connection to your heart, where you might feel like your heart is being punished because you are constantly dealing with certain painful relationship patterns, people rejecting you, or circumstances that just don't seem to be on your side. You may actually realize that all of this is mirroring your own antagonistic relationship to your heart, where you might be silencing yourself, rejecting yourself, or tearing yourself away from your own depth of feeling. And the soft energy that can be located in your heart space is where people may be subjecting you to that same kind of painful treatment, all to show you that this is what you are doing to yourself. Even the most opposite conditions in life are these blessings in disguise, affording us the opportunity to think about what can we do to embody that kind of love we want to witness in the world. And what's stopping us is simply our own inner inhibition, our own egoic pride to be separate from loving intention, when in reality this is the highest calling that we can take upon ourselves, to transmute indifference, judgment, or the pain of suffering into the opportunity to just be love. And for that we will feel loved by the entire universal symphony that demonstrates to us the joy of embodying this state of consciousness available to all of us at any moment when we choose to experience it.